Hi, my name is Jessica Lynch. That was a pant hoot by a chimpanzee. And when Chuck Snowden started the first class of his animal communication course, he taught us all how to pant hoot, except I was really too shy to do it. And in fact, I dropped the class because he said that everybody was going to meet each other and greet each other with a pant hoot, a chimpanzee pant hoot, every class period. And at that time, I couldn't do it. But I was glad for this opportunity to shout out a pant hoot to Chuck. So I am, again, Jessica Lynch. I am faculty at UCLA. My departments are the Institute for Society and Genetic, as well as the Department of Anthropology. My research is broadly focused on platyrrhini primates. I am interested in behavior, taxonomy, morphology, what did I say? Behavior, conservation. Yeah, I'm very interested in understanding the evolution of neotropical primates or platyrrhini. I started to study primates. Let's see. I was an English major, creative writing focus when I was at UC Davis for my undergraduate degree. I took anthropology as an easy out for my science requirement and fell in love with anthropology, biological anthropology. My first professors teaching the intro to bioanth were Peter Rodman and Henry McHenry at UC Davis. And yeah, they got me. I fell in love. And then I had Sarah Hurdy for primate behavioral ecology and Gary Mitchell for primate psychology, also at UC Davis. And having taken those classes, I realized I wanted to go into study primates. I signed up for the Peace Corps with the thought that I would be going to tropical countries and get to a tropical country and get to learn about primates firsthand. And they sent me in the first group ever to Europe, to Central Europe, to Hungary. So I served 2 years in Hungary in the Peace Corps. No primates there, except I did see them at the zoos, which, for example, I got to learn that the orangutans there frequently pickpocketed the keepers and were able to escape. So I was interested in that as well. But I decided to try some field work to see if I really wanted to work with primates that way, not just in the theoretical, but in the field. And I had the great fortune to be given an internship by Juan Carlos Serio Silva in Mexico, in Catemaco. And I worked with Domingo Canales y Espinosa and Francisco Garcia Orduña as well, going up into the mountains to see the spider monkeys, going onto the islands of Catemaco with Juan Carlos to study the howlers, going with Domingo to see the macaques, the stump-tailed macaques that they had on some islands there as well. And I also met Liliana Cortez Ortiz, a longtime friend and collaborator there in Mexico. I also had an internship working on Cayo Santiago with John Berard, studying sexual behavior of rhesus macaques. And that got me very interested in behavior. And my dissertation was studying sexual behavior in capuchin monkeys, in Sapajus nigritas in Brazil. And for that research, I went to graduate school at University of Wisconsin-Madison with Karen Stryer as my primary advisor. That's where I met Chuck as well. And another great influence along with Karen was Tony Ziegler, who taught me how to do radioimmunoassays and enzyme immunoassays for looking at hormones and behavior in the capuchin monkeys that I studied for my dissertation. For my dissertation, I also was mentored along with Karen, who took me to Brazil, introduced me all around, took me to the field site, and we worked together to figure out how I would collect data on the capuchin monkeys. But also Jose Himoli, a Brazilian who had studied the Moriquis first with Karen and then started his own project to study the capuchin monkeys there at Caratinga. He taught me the animals, helped teach me Portuguese, and really introduced me to Brazil. Let's see. So yeah, that was how I got started. And in terms of designing a research question, I think that was really a lot of work, both at Madison, taking Karen's class about grant writing, and then also working with Karen in the field to figure out my data collection methods to try to basically see if at that time Cebus apella was the name for all the robust capuchin monkeys, and Charlie Jansen had studied them in Manu National Park in Peru, and gave us this super exciting, different story about what those capuchin monkeys do in terms of sexual interactions, that the females follow the males, the females are initiating and demanding sex, and males are reluctant, males move away and avoid the females. And so I wanted to see if that same kind of behavior was happening all the way across South America in southern Brazil. And I also was curious to see if it really was only the alpha males who mated with the females, or if the females were having paternity confusion where they were mating with subordinate males as well. So that led me both to study the capuchin monkeys there, and then I also looked at the hormonal profiles of the different males in the group I was studying across the year of my study, and I found that the females had these long consortships with the alpha male, but also had sneak matings and rapid matings away from the group with other males. So they were kind of having a mixed strategy, and also that there was a lot of sex occurring throughout the year, or in multiple parts of the year, where conceptions weren't happening, but that right at that time when conceptions were happening, the male testosterone also shot up, like at heights that it wasn't seen in any other time of the year. So there was some pattern of male sexual response to females in estrus at the conceptive period, the very fertile period. But males and females were interacting, and in fact, males and males were having sex, females and females were having sex, adults were having sex, juveniles were having sex, adults with juveniles, in different parts of the year as well. So the sex in Sapajus nigritas, which we call it now, that species, the black-horned capuchin, was not tightly connected to just this hormonal change over the year. Let's see. So how has my research contributed to biodiversity and primate conservation? I would say that I've had a pretty longstanding commitment to primate conservation and preserving and understanding biodiversity throughout my career. I work with the IUCN and ICMBio in Brazil, the government organization that works with producing the red list. So I've worked in 2 workshops in Brazil in determining red lists for Brazilian primates. I've also worked with a bunch of international collaborators on the international IUCN red listing for platyrrhines in general. So that's one way I contribute. I'm also the editor-in-chief of Neotropical Primates, which is a journal that focuses on primate conservation. I'm also just starting to help Anthony Rylance, who's another long-term mentor, incredible role model for me. I'm starting to help him publish or be an editor, a junior editor on primate conservation, a journal which both Neotropical Primates and Primate Conservation are excellent journals for publishing about primatology and conservation issues. They're free, they're open, they're free to publish in, they're open access, they are nonprofit, Neotropical Primates, you can publish in Spanish, Portuguese, and English. And we're working hard now to sort of regularize Neotropical Primates, so it is it's counting for people's publications in respectable journals, which I think if we can reach that level, it's going to be an even more important resource for primatologists in Latin America. So I'm excited about that. And we actually have a call out for associate editors. So if you might be interested in working as an editor for Neotropical Primates, please get in touch with me. And my name again is Jessica Lynch, and my email is jwlynx@g.ucla.edu. g.ucla.edu. Let's see. How has my scientific background influenced my life? I think, I mean, one of the most exciting and best parts about the research that I do is that it has really encouraged me to learn and speak Spanish and Portuguese. And for this reason, I have had a very deep network across Latin America in terms of collaborative research that I've done with lots of different people from different countries. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to learn languages in the countries where you work. That has greatly facilitated my collaborations. I also have a son whose dad is Brazilian, and so I've formed this family ties in Brazil, and that's made our life be back and forth between the United States and Brazil. We try to go at least every year with my family to visit family there. Let's see, advice to students interested in primatology. I guess another thing that I would say is I'm also deeply motivated and interested in both working with American students who are interested in research with platyrrhines. Currently, my graduate student, Nat Finnegan, is looking at vocalization repertoires across platyrrhines and comparing that to genomic evolution to understand the evolution of vocal production. But I also have mentored and been a committee member or co-advisor, and currently am co-advisor or mentor for many Latin American students, just to name a few: Bruna Seinwelski, Julia dos Santos Gutierrez, Sebastián Garcia Restrepo, Osvaldo Pimentas Neto are some current or students and collaborations, along with many, many collaborations, such as with Patricia Izar, Janet Buckner, Hazel Byrne, Jean Boubli, Valdine Martins. The list is very long. So yeah, again, this kind of goes back to my interest in collaborating, mentoring, and I think another priority for me currently is getting more people interested in doing research in the Amazon, and also having more collaborative research with indigenous and local populations within the Amazon. Within Brazil, for example, there's a very high concentration of primatology research in the Atlantic coastal forest, but in comparison, there's very few researchers doing work in the Amazon. And shout out to Malu Messias and Wilson Spiridonello, who I also have worked with, who are both doing some research with capuchins in the Amazon. And I, again, talking about Wilson, we have collaborated with other editors on editing a new volume, a big book on conservation of Amazonian mammals. So I'm very excited about that coming out too. Again, if you're interested in talking to me, I'd be very excited to talk to you. Jessica Lynch at University of California, Los Angeles, jwlinks@g.ucla.edu. Hope to talk to you soon. And thank you, Stella, for inviting me to contribute.